You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If on the other hand you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is, let's call it Thursday. What do you think? All right. Good enough. Today is Thursday, 3rd day of January, year of our Lord, 2019. It's really here. It's the new year. And Apple's sick. We got a bad apple in the bunch. We'll talk about that in a minute. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, a very special welcome to you. We're certainly glad to have you with us. Thanks for joining. If you can't see the chart I have up, it's the S&P 500 Emini Futures. 2 ways to see the charts during the live broadcast. Go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in 30 seconds all the way through, we think, eternity. This is a work in progress. We'll let you know here in 5 days or in a couple days. The other option, if you're away from the desktop, using someone else's computer, maybe you're on a cell phone or tablet, go to youtube.com/CFRN/live during the live broadcast, and you'll see the live broadcast, complete with charts and all that jazz. All right. Now, we had a gap lower open last night on the S&P Emini Futures along with the other indices. Reason being, Apple came out with some pretty scary news. Okay. Was it really that scary? I think it's all a bit overdone myself. In fact, I remarked last night in the channel, and I love quoting myself. Yeah, that's always a... Okay. Note. Tech sell-off on Apple Q1 guidance appears overdone. I believe in the absence of a new product, they are engineering a surprise on the upside when they report. Jot that down and let me know if I'm right when it happens, okay? And then in the next post in the channel, in the live channel, I said, I just saw 3 people on TV in 3 minutes forecast tomorrow's session as horrific. I went on to say Apple's already down 40% over the past year. When an analyst downgrades, it is quite often the bottom or near bottom. When all the analysts flip at once, wait for it, and bounce. Asia and London still have to weigh in. And then my final note was, keep in mind we had a gap lower open on the indices. Gaps on the indices almost always close. Now listen to this carefully. Gaps to the downside on the indices have closed what percentage of the time since the inception of the markets? Fill in that blank for me, would you? Let me say this again. Now, those of you that are passport holders, you already know the answer, so you can't play. This is for the studio audience. Gaps to the downside on the indices and the futures market have closed what percentage of the time since the inception of the markets? Question mark. Think about that, and all of a sudden you'll go, oh, wait a minute. All right, go ahead. When you figure it out, just type it into the chat box. I don't think we have any lovely prizes for whoever gets it right, but I will, I'll admire you greatly on live radio. How about that? That'll put a pep in your step. Okay. So, did this gap fill? Surely it did. Right there. Did we have an alert to take advantage of that? Surely we did. Yes, we did. And then this? Yes, we did. So, I guess we can move on. That's a little simplistic, and I still need to move the zones around. I was going to do that yesterday, and I just... Now, but this is a good option. This is why I didn't, I think. I wanted to just run over this one more time with you. These are last week's weekly trading zones. We had a major holiday right smack dab in the middle here. Well, they come out Sunday, and then we traded Sunday night, Monday, and then Tuesday was a holiday, and then yesterday, today. So you get my point. All right, so last week's weekly trading zones, not this week, last week's. This is what's still on my chart, as it is every week. Partners get the zones 6:15 a.m. Eastern Monday morning, before Wall Street wakes up for the week. the rest of the CFRN audience, I give these to you every Thursday, or I try to. If I forget, remind me. And if you'll write them down, they'll benefit you greatly. Now, had you jotted this down last week when I gave them to you, and I know many of you did, price broke through this zone, pulled back to support, 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 pull back to support, consolidation, broke through. Now look at the wick here and the wick here. Doji, this is a 30-minute candle. So on a smaller time frame, you would see consolidation around the zone. You don't necessarily see it here. Like this is, I don't know, 1, 2, 2.5 hours. Then we broke back up to the upside. Now this is that same rectangle that I drew last week when I could only connect these two, and then we extended it to include that, and I just left it alone, and this is what we did last night. Okay, now once we broke back below this zone that was support, 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 consolidation, finally gave way, broke through it after some consolidation, get back below it, and what does immediately happen? It pulls right back up to it. It's like it's a magnet. Now remember, these are last week's zones. This is why I tell you to jot them down, because the ones I show you today, if you jot them down, they'll help you next week. Okay? All right. Partners get them Monday. The general community at large gets them on Thursday. All right. And then, look. Price, it spikes it. Yes, I know. But then look where it drops. Drops right to last week's weekly trading zone. Do the tick, or it seems. The swing, oh, missed it by a tick. The swing low was 24.47 1/4. And then where did it pop right back up to? Bing, you guessed it. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. How do you know it's an important price, an important area? Because I tell you. I send you the zones, I put it in the alert channel, I put it in the email to the Concierge Trade Alert clients. I do my best to share the good news. So, if you're listening and watching, you'll know where the important price, important area is. And off that, with nothing else, you could put together a pretty stupendous trading strategy. I've said too much. All right, moving on. I got a little bit of news. And the New York State Assemblyman Clyde Vanell, you know Clyde, the chair of Subcommittee on Internet and New Technologies at the legislature, has publicly announced the creation of a cryptocurrency task force. The G-men are out in force. The reports produced by the task force will likely be used to update the state's regulation of the industry, as the announcement notes that it has been nearly 4 years since the implementation of the BIT license. In the cryptocurrency space and technology in general, a few months is equivalent to years. According to the announcement, the members of the task force appointed by Governor Andrew Cuomo, the Senate and Assembly, are to study how to regulate, define, and use cryptocurrency and submit the reports by December 15th, 2020. So they got 2 years to work on this thing. Yeah. They will include different stakeholders such as technologists, consumers, institutional and small investors, large and small blockchain enterprises, and academics. Assemblyman Vanell says that New York leads the country in finance. We will also lead in proper fintech regulation. Do you notice how the word fintech is starting to morph and blend into and become homogeneous with blockchain and cryptocurrency? That's a big thing, because Warren Buffett has said he would never ever invest in crypto. But last year he took a huge stake in a fintech company. And I made a prediction on this radio program that by the end of 2019, Warren Buffett will openly admit to the public that he owns Bitcoin. We'll see if it comes to pass. And I don't do prophecies and forecasts. I just did that for fun. But we'll see if it happens. All right. Michael Novogratz, founder and CEO of Galaxy Digital Holdings, reported yesterday that he acquired 7,500,000 more shares of the company for approximately 7.4 million Canadian dollars. US greenbacks 5.4 million. This amount represents about 2.7% of the company's shares, bringing Novogratz's estimated stake in the company from an already high 76.6% to 79.3%. Now, I know that some of you know Mr. Novogratz, and some of you are going, Mike Novogratz, what cuckoo is that? He's this cuckoo. He is the former hedge fund manager who created Galaxy Digital, a cryptocurrency merchant bank, in the hopes that it would eventually become the Goldman Sachs of crypto. And where did Michael work when he did this? Yeah, you got it, Goldman Sachs. He's a big dog at Goldman Sachs. He works on the big dog desk. Now, the crypto bear market of 2018 has been hard on the company's stock, but Novogratz claimed in November he still believes that institutional demand for cryptocurrencies will drive the start of a new bull trend in 2019. By buying more company stock, Novogratz is signaling that he is willing to put his money where his mouth is. Now you might wonder, how did this Galaxy Digital manage to go public so quick? Because you got to have 2 years of financial reporting. Well, this is something we talked about on the show a few weeks ago. He did a reverse merger with a publicly traded shell on the Toronto Stock Exchange, TSX. That's how he did it. That cuts your wait time down incredibly, because you've got a fully reporting company. They got no business model. They're making no money. They got no payroll. They pay no taxes. They're dead in the water. They just haven't gone belly up yet. Okay? They're just kind of hanging, waiting for somebody like Michael Novogratz to come and purchase that shell and then take your idea, your entity, whatever it is, and back it into the shell. Completely legal. People do it all the time. Okay? Now, some of the higher-ups don't think so highly of the process, but like this guy he worked the big dog desk at Goldman Sachs. Hey, what are you going to do? Now, this thing's trading, I looked at it yesterday, $1.92 or something. If somebody wants to look it up for me, it's on the Toronto Venture Stock Exchange, TSXV, and the symbol is GLXY. Tell me what that thing's trading for, please. Bitcoin Magazine, and you'll remember when this whole craze broke, we had the CEO. Was it the CEO? We had somebody from Bitcoin Magazine on the show, one of our first crypto guests. Bitcoin Magazine, one of the first print publications specializing in crypto, was created by Vitalik Buterin in May of 2012. In 2015, Bitcoin Magazine was acquired by a company from Nashville, Tennessee, which moved the magazine entirely online. Now, to mark the anniversary, you know, that's kind of interesting that a Bitcoin magazine, I mean, that's like it's all things digital, and they put it on paper. They made when's the last time you read a paper magazine? I dare say you don't read magazines unless you have to go to the doctor. Am I right? I think I'm right. And then you might opt for your phone or your tablet. Am I right? I'm right. Pence swearing at senators. Oh no, he's swearing in senators right now. Oh dear Lord. Changing of the guard. It's coming. But I digress. Now, to mark the anniversary of Bitcoin's Genesis block, the company has announced that the first edition of Bitcoin Magazine in 7 years will come off the presses in the summer of 2019. Back in 2012, Vitalik was handing out Bitcoin magazine from his backpack to anyone with even a fleeting interest in some mysterious magic internet money. Today, with 10 years of history behind it, Bitcoin is almost a household name. I hope you caught that. Almost a household name. That means there's still more opportunity than you can shake a stick at, even a digital stick. More and more people are becoming curious about this, not my words, but theirs, digital gold that they've been hearing about. Vitalik says our intention is to distribute tens of thousands of copies free of charge at hundreds of locations and events around the world. And Estonia-based Venue DX Exchange is set to launch trading on the tokenized stocks of some of the biggest public companies in the world, such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon. This starts January 7th this year. They will accept BCH, BTC, ETH, USDT, Dash, LTC, and Ripple, and even a few other cryptocurrencies, as well as, of course, traditional fiat payment options. This has been achieved through an agreement with MPS Marketplace Securities Limited, which issues tokens that represent stocks via smart contracts and buys and holds the real-world stocks according to demand on the platform. The digital stocks, in quotes, are said to be backed one-to-one with real-world stocks traded on conventional stock exchanges, just like stable coins backed by equities rather than fiat. Unlike traditional stock exchanges, this arrangement allows the platform to offer its users the ability to trade stocks, wait for it, 24/7. That's right. The regulated platform operates in full compliance with the latest EU financial regulations, which means its features are very robust, including the Know Your Customer process. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. All right, we're going to talk more about Apple later in the program. Let's get a look at the numbers right now from around the world. These will be the cash markets, not futures. We'll discuss the futures more here momentarily. Just want to make sure I got the latest print. It's not pretty, but it's not horrific. You want to see horrific? Okay. Remember I said 3 guys in 3 minutes on the TV yesterday. Said it's going to be a horrific day. Now, let me scrunch this up. Remember when we put on that swing trade? Now, if price gets back down here, and I can't rule it out because important prices in important areas are almost always tested. We did call for the retracement to here. That was baked into the cake. And we've come back to test it again. I'll show you what fib that is later in the program. So, I'm sorry, not horrific. It's not making anybody happy, except people that were short. Way to go, guys. Alright, enough funning around. What do we got? Looks like the Dow currently down 430 points. That's almost 2%. NASDAQ down 128, almost 2%. S&P 500 down 37, 1.5%. And the Russell 2000 down 8.5, half of 1%. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 17 cents, trading 46.71 last. Gold up $7.50, trading 12.9160 last. In the Asian markets, the Nikkei finished the session down 62 points. Shanghai was down less than a point, and the Hang Seng was down 65 points. In European markets, the FTSE closed down 41. The DAX was down 163. That's the mover and shaker there in the UK, 1.5%. And the CAC lost 77 points on the session. also down 1.5%. It was a red day in Asia, a red day in the UK, and it's a red day here in the US of A. Big red radio day. When I come back, I'll tell you how Tim Cook is going to fix this problem with Apple. And some of you might be going, what is the problem? Well, I'll tell you what the problem is, and then I'll give you the solution. And I'll tell you what I also think about it. Well, I already did. Yeah. Yesterday, Apple announced it was lowering revenue guidance. And if you don't know what that is, it's how much money we're going to make. Okay, they lowered their revenue guidance for Q1 to $84 billion. Now, let me say that again. They lowered their revenue guidance to $84 billion. That's B as in billion. That's larger than the GDP of many countries on this planet. The original guidance said that they would have revenue of 89 to 93 billion. But they're only going to make 84 billion. Poor Apple. Let's look at Apple. Let's take a peek just real quick. And then we'll go to Mike and get a recap of everything that happened in the live training room today. And if John's feeling better, we'll chat with him. Apple. Okay. Oh, let me put this on a daily for a moment, if I may. Okay. Now remember, this is a daily chart. Now remember I mentioned earlier that Apple stock was down 40% over the past year. That's quite a haircut. Is it reality? Is it the equivalent of the dot-com bust? Apple actually makes money and has money in the bank. More money than the United States of America. America's bankrupt. We're a debtor nation. Apple has money in the bank. And so does Tim Cook. All right, so we gapped lower, right, on the open. But we're off the lows, trading near the high of the day. Like I said earlier, when an analyst downgrades a stock, you might be close to the bottom. When they all roll over, get after it, because a bounce is coming. So, all right. With that said, I'll be back in a bit with the solution for Apple's woes, or Tim Cook's solution for Apple's woes. I think this is all a bit overdone. What do you think? Oh, somebody typed into the chat box. Maybe they know the answer. 1.33. Now, Chris, what's that an answer to? I forgot all the questions I asked. All right, we'll go into the break with this.
I think it was stock price, I think.
Oh, Galaxy. Thank you, Chris. All right, yeah, I forgot. I asked you guys a couple questions. So Galaxy's trading at $1.33. Now, this is the guy who left Goldman Sachs. He traded the big dog desk. Opened up a cryptocurrency merchant bank. Now, if you don't know what a merchant bank is, if you've been in business, if you've been a small businessman or owner, large business owner, you know what a merchant account is. You know what a merchant bank is. See, most banks are created to be used by the average, everyday, ordinary consumer. You know, people like you and me. But the merchant banks, they specifically deal with businesses. Okay? And so, is this the first crypto merchant bank? I don't know. But I do know it comes with a pedigree. Goldman Sachs. I'm no fan of Goldman Sachs. Well, let me just say, how do you not admire someone who averages 3 to 4 losing, and I hate that term, losing trading days per year? Go look at the record. Go look at their financial reports with the SEC. They average 3 to 4 losing trading days overall from all of their operations worldwide. 3 to 4 losing trading days per year. Now tell me that deck is not stacked. Yeah, okay. I'm glad you agree. Now, I'm not promoting Galaxy Holdings at $1.33 a share. I'm simply saying if you might want to do your own due diligence and take a look at it. I have no idea what their business plans are. In my opinion, that's all it is. It's just an opinion. Mike Novogratz and the Goldman Sachs pedigree, and the fact that if Michael does get this thing up and running, which is why he put $7 million, was it, into it yesterday, on top, he owns almost 90% of the company. Publicly traded company on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And thank you for looking that up again, Chris. So, with all that, I don't care what the business plan is, because if he gets this thing up and running, it gets it profitable, do you think Goldman Sachs is not going to become a counterparty to this venture? That's baked into the cake. So, with Goldman Sachs on board at $1.33, in my opinion, could become $133 over time, or $13.30, and it also could go to 33 cents. And did you know that stocks can go below zero? They can. Yeah, so it could be a red number, 0.33 minus. Yeah, it happens. Go take a look on some of the penny stock boards. You'll see it. Stocks trading at 0.000001. If you ever want to own 1 million shares, you go there and pick it up. Mike B says, Fox said today that Goldman Sachs had 600 traders. Now they have 2, and it's all algo trading. Hey, Mike, if you can get me a link to that, I would love to read that. It's not something I've heard. And I bet there's some clarification. There's a footnote somewhere. Goldman Sachs, with its worldwide operations, to only have 2 traders. I'm not disputing that you heard that. I just think there's some fine print they might not have discussed on the show. Okay. Because if that's true, then Jamie Dimon, with his army of traders, is going to take Goldman Sachs lunch. Because those algos always blow up. I'm sorry, Mike. What were you saying?
I was just going to... I thought you were finished. I didn't want to interrupt you. Oh. John is not in, but Dr. Tom is.
Oh. Okay, well, he showed up early. So go ahead and do your recap. And then as soon as you're done, I'll pop in and talk to Dr. Tom.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, sir.
Not a problem.
Dr. Tom, grab a latte. We'll be with you in just a moment. Or a few minutes.
There we go.
About 10.
About 10. Make sure you're looking at the right thing. You are. That is good. All right. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 3rd day of January, 2019. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. Over in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial applied.cfrn.net. If you click on that, you will be brought to this page, where all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Click the submit button. Once you click the submit button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link, okay? If you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. So click on that confirmation link. Okay, in the recap. Our day today was almost exactly like yesterday. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 3rd day of January 2019. We made 18 ticks on crude, just like yesterday, and we lost 8 ticks on gold, just like yesterday, giving us a daily gross of $100 a contract. Today, though, it only took 6 minutes in one trade to get to the goal for the day, and it took a total of 7 trade opportunities this morning. So on the month now, we're only 2 days into it. On the month and on the year, we're at $200 a contract, averaging $100 a day. Okay, same thing down here on the year. Okay. Okay. Now, let's see. On gold, we had just one trade, just like yesterday, and we stopped out. It looks like there was an opportunity right here that I missed for whatever reason. And then nothing else. Nothing else until way over here. Right in here. Okay, and even then, we got lower highs and higher lows. So even then I might have not done it, because we just didn't get the trend. All right, on the euro. Oh, I forgot to mark this. Okay, so we have 8 trades today. I'll have to fix that after. On the euro, started out really choppy right here. Really choppy. Made a little leg up, then more consolidation. Then we had some pretty good legs up right here, but we didn't have anything down here saying that we could go. Not until right here. There was one that I missed right there at 10 o'clock, but the data was all jammed up when the news came out at that point. So I walked away for a few minutes. Right here was a long that I missed, a short that I missed, another short that I missed, a short that I took. Yeah, and you can see right in here, it had a big move up right here. But we did not have a trade set up for it. Okay, then it changed directions, and now you're in the break, and there was a short right there. And now it's trying to change directions again, but we don't have any trade setups. Okay. I just want to remind everybody who's out there, tomorrow morning at 8:30, there are big news events happening. So you probably don't want to be in the market tomorrow morning at 8:30. Just thought about it. Okay, so on the crude, this is where we got our goal for the day. It was the first trade of the day. And we picked up 10 ticks on that one. Okay, then 3 more here to put us at plus 13. Then we stopped out to put us at plus 5. We missed a couple of really nice trades right there. And then we picked up a couple of ticks here to put us at plus 7. A couple more there to put us at plus 9. And then 9 ticks here to put us at plus 18. And then we're getting into the break, and looks like there was a shorting opportunity here that worked its way down after pulling back. And long right in here, and another long right in there, and there, and there. And then the slingshot had to reset. It gave a short right here. And flipped around to a long right in there. Gave him another short. And then we weren't trending. Okay, not until we put in a new swing low over here. That would have given a short opportunity from right there. Okay. And on the ES, did we do anything with the ES today? I don't think so. Had some pretty good volatility during the break. Looks like I highlighted a couple of places in there. That would have been good. Had a short from right there. Still scrolling. Hey, we did do something with the ES. I did not include that. Well, I'm going to leave it alone. I don't remember. But anyway, we took a short here. I think we picked up a couple of ticks on that. I forgot to mark it in my log. And there was another follow-up right there that worked out okay. There was a momentum over here, and actually a regular old short right there. Both gave some profitability. Wow. Okay. Right in here is where we had the news come out. Okay, and then it just started to tank. And there were some opportunities in there. Not so much here, though. And we had a couple more shorting opportunities right in there. Okay, we wanted to make sure we got a lower swing over here, so we didn't get a short opportunity there. Then the cycle was going up too steep. And going into the low of the day. Okay, so the low of the day was made right here at 1044. It looks like there was a shorting opportunity right here. And a long right there that I missed. And a long there, and a long there. I don't know what I was doing. I missed all these. But this would have been a break even. This one would have given you some profit. And that was it for the morning session. Okay, that was it for the morning session. So now, yeah. What am I looking for? This. Okay, this is the spreadsheet. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, this goes back over 6 years now. It was created January 2nd of 2013. We are now 6 years beyond that creation date. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you could read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Okay. Today, as I said, is the 3rd day of January. Made 18 ticks on crude. We lost 8 ticks on gold. That put us at plus 100 on the morning. Today, took 6 minutes in one trade to get to the goal for the day. And we took a total of, actually, 8. We'll put 8 on there. Trades. So gross monthly profit, $200. That's over 2 days, averaging $100 a day. Same thing on the year. Okay. So, not a bad start. You know, not exactly stellar, but not bad. All right. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page here at CFRN.net. In the right-hand column, it says apply.cfrn.net. Click on that, and you'll be brought to this page. This page, where all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit that submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click on the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the trial. All right? All right. And with that, we can pass it back out to Studio A in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park.
Here I am.
Here's Dwayne.
All right, recap of the recap.
Today, it took 6 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day.
It did not.
It did indeed.
Good job. You're outstanding in your field. Don't get wet.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Boy, my quick wit sometimes surprises even me. It's crazy like that. Okay. Well, here we are. Any general comments you want to make about anything?
No, I was looking for something. I'll try to find it later. General comments. No. John's not there yet.
Okay.
And Dr. Tom is. I don't know. Dr. Tom's mic is open, but I don't know if he's listening. So.
Okay. Well, you know, he is a he's a good guy, and he's a very organized guy, very professional guy. I have a lot of respect for this guy, you know. And that might be him rumbling around right now.
Yep, because John's still not there, so that must be him.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming now to the CFRN studios, my new bestie, Dr. Tom. Hey, Dr. Tom. Welcome to the show.
I'm your BFF?
You're one of them, yeah. You're my newest one, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I feel honored.
Well, when you told me I was on your A list, I got goosebumps, so anyway.
Well, how are things going today? Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year to you, sir. We had quite, or I had quite a little email frenzy there with you on New Year's Day.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, we need to have another conversation off the air about that and see, what possibilities or probabilities, as I like to say, exist. So.
Well, you're a good researcher, that's for sure.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. I don't take that lightly coming from you.
That was amazing how much you were able to get together. Probably everybody's wondering what we're talking about. We'll have to share that with them at some point. But
yeah, that's kind of the part we got to talk about.
One thing we can kind of pre-announce about is this alternative investment seminar. I'm really excited about that. We've got some really great people that are interested in doing it. So we're looking at sometime probably in February, I'm guessing, to give us time to organize it and have experts like Dwayne on futures and experts on gold, experts on cryptocurrency, Forex, the non-traditional type investment.
And where will this be held?
Well, I'm thinking West Palm Beach because everybody wants to come to West Palm Beach in the wintertime.
Well, you bring me down there, living the good life with you. I might not want to come home.
Well, that's okay. We've got
You got some butler's quarters there for me or something?
Well, our dog died. He had a pretty big dog house out back, so you're welcome to that. Just clean all the fleas out.
Well, actually, I want to talk to you about our new headquarters, 2.5 hours from Quito, Ecuador. Did you look at that place?
I did. It's stunning.
Oh my God, it's 90 how many acres?
98 acres.
98 acres.
So many hectares.
Yeah, and you, the development, it was just a thumbnail sketch, but with that many acres, you take 25 acres, cut them into half-acre parcels, build a nice little casita on each one for about 10 grand, and you market them to expats who want a summer home for 50 grand a piece. That brings you back 2.5, which more than covers the cost of the property and the building. Gives you some money to live on for a while and launch the International Golden Art Treasures and Christian Financial Concepts and the Pre-Seek. It's going to call it the Pre-Seek Find Compound. I think that's appropriate. Or ranch. Ranch. What do you like better, ranch or farm? Ranch sounds like you got some money, huh? Farm sounds like you work for a living. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go with ranch. Unless you come up with something better. But I look forward to working with you on that. No, I'm kidding. But think about it though, because did you go through the list? All the trees, the bamboo, all the old timber. I did. My wife. Ever since my wife and I went to Ecuador, Michael, how long has it been since we went to Ecuador? Machu Picchu.
It's been a very long time.
Where I went to contemplate the future of CFRN and came back. I came back with a pretty good plan, huh?
You did?
It kind of worked out. So I didn't shave my head or eat from a simple wooden bowl, but I did go up there on the mountain and pray, talk to God. It's easier when you're that close. We were way up there.
Higher up, yeah.
Yeah, petted a few llamas. And ever since we've come back, my wife and I have talked about moving there, sort of semi-retire. I can still do the radio show, still do all my mentoring and training and everything else from there. It's got its own internet tower. Did you read that?
I saw that.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
It's perfect. And
not just access, but a tower, right?
Yeah. And so the thing I can't figure is how it has municipal water. But it turns out we researched it. Oh, and it's near the town or the area called Mindo, which is a cloud forest. Go to the internet and look at some pictures of the cloud forest. Oh my goodness, you're right by where all the butterflies are, the butterfly forest. I mean, you walk in it and they just swarm around you. You feel like you're in a Disney movie. But anyway, since we came back, my wife has been hard at work for the past, I don't know, 10 years. Has it been 10 years, Michael?
I I think it has.
Since I went to Ecuador? See, I want to say I went in 2008, but I don't think that's right. It might have been 09. Anyway, she's been on the computer every day. This is not her full-time job. She just does this when she has a break from the other stuff I ask her to do. No, she does it on her own. But she looks at all these, every time, when I finish a show every day, I come downstairs, hey, look at this place. And I always go, yeah, okay, nice. But the other day when she showed me this farm, this 90 acres, 90 acres.
98.
98. It stopped me in my tracks. And she goes,
I spent quite a bit of time on it. I really did. It's beautiful. Where would you fly into?
Oh, you fly into Lima.
Okay.
Oh, no, wait. Did we fly? We flew from Lima to Quito. You fly into Quito. You fly into Quito, and then it's a 2 to 2.5 hour drive from Quito. So you're in between Quito and the ocean. You go one direction, it's 2.5 hours to Quito, the big city, but you've got a city right next to you, and then in the other direction, it's 3 hours to the ocean.
Nice.
In the cloud forest. So, and the whole thing's bought and paid for just by developing a fourth of your resources. And there's building sites there all ready to go. And the existing structures that are there would just be for us, staff, when we have retreats, when you're teaching people about gold, and I'm teaching people about futures, and the different churches that you're associated with, and I'm associated with, they would like to come there and have retreats and that kind of thing. So you're just revenue out the wazoo. I'm not sure what a wazoo is, but I've heard that a lot. Is it like a kazoo? A wazoo? A kazoo? Kazoo? No. Anyway,
let's go with that. Yeah, because
sounds
the
good.
real name is not good.
One of our listeners just typed something into the box today, because I was talking about Goldman Sachs. You know Mike Novogratz, or know of Mike Novogratz?
Heard the name.
He worked the big dog desk at Goldman Sachs. He left there to create his own cryptocurrency merchant bank. I don't know that anybody ever married those words together before. Of course, you know what cryptocurrency is, and of course, you know what a merchant bank is.
Right.
Well, it's a publicly traded company now. He owns almost 90% of it. He bought another, well, I got the article right here. So rather than speculate, I can just tell you the exact numbers. I read up on this yesterday. Mike Novogratz, founder and CEO of Galaxy Digital, announced yesterday he had acquired another 7.5 million more shares of the company for $5.4 million US. He now owns, before yesterday, he owned 76.6% of the company. Now he owns 79.3%.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up cryptocurrencies, because the PowerPoint I wanted to show you today, I've been doing quite a bit of research into crypto the last few weeks, and it turns out there's no future whatsoever in cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin.
Oh, he just baited the hook, guys. All right, you want me to give you the screens?
Yeah, give me the screen. I think you're going to find this.
Okay, right now, Mike Novogratz, you may want to send him a text when we're done to let him know to get out of this monster he's created. Now, he didn't want to wait 2 years. He didn't have 2 years of financial records to go public with through traditional methods. So he backed into a shell. Didn't you and I talk about this on the radio recently? Maybe it was someone. Yeah. Okay, he backed into a shell, and he's listed now on the Toronto Stock Exchange, TSXV, on the Venture Exchange.
Right.
It's trading at $1. Now, he already owned, before yesterday, he owned 76.6% of the outstanding stock. Today, he owns 79.3%. Yesterday, he spent $5.4 million US on top of what he already spent, and it's trading at $1.33 a share. Now, with the Goldman Sachs pedigree behind it, I gotta believe it's worth $1.33. if it never even becomes profitable. But I think it will, because I think this Mike Novogratz is a pretty smart guy. Oh, and did I mention it has the Goldman Sachs pedigree? Okay.
Yes.
Let me pass you. We're going to invite them all down to the Pray Seek Find Ranch, and we're going to talk with them about this in greater detail. Okay. Are you in the staff hangout? Is that where you are? Yes, you are.
I am.
All right. I'm going to make you the presenter. Now, Michael,
how's my sound?
You sound great. Now, Michael, you're just in North Carolina. There, you're just a hop, skip, and a jump from South America. In fact, when we flew out of Miami, and then we flew back into Los Angeles, which was kind of strange. Well, I spent a lot of time booking this. I mean, I've never really did it this way before, but rather than go with a tour group or something, when we went, I spent quite a bit, because I gave it to my wife. Well, first I gave her Springtime in Paris as a Christmas gift, which went over really well. So I decided to do it again, and we did the Ecuador, Peru, Machu Picchu thing. But I had that thing every day. We got up, we had like a guide to take us here, or I was kind of proud of myself that I was able to map that thing out, and it was a great trip. And you know what? It didn't cost a lot of money. So, all right. Okay, Dr. Tom, you got the charts, or the screen.
Alrighty. Let me just accept that.
And the people there, they're so nice, they're so laid back. They use
sort of like us, right?
Yeah, they use the U.S. dollar. One thing I noticed different on their pack of cigarettes, I don't smoke anymore, but on a pack of cigarettes, which they sell them on the street corner, there's a picture of a black lung right on the, on the side of a pack of cigarettes in America, how it says the Surgeon General says this might cause your limbs to fall off, kind of thing. They have an actual picture of a diseased lung right on the pack of cigarettes. And it says something kind of like, if you smoke these, this is what will happen. They were selling like hotcakes. All right. You've got the con.
Okay. You like my screen there?
I love it. That's a real attention grabber, especially if you've invited a bunch of people to come to a cryptocurrency conference and they paid big bucks to get in the door, and you put this up as the first slide. All the oxygen will leave the room immediately.
Well, it's true.
Okay.
When you consider the things that I'm going to talk about, it's very clear that there's no future at all in crypto or Bitcoin.
Can I venture a guess here? Now, folks, this is not carefully scripted radio, because you know that we do raw radio here at CFRN. There's no future because it's the... You know what? I don't want to steal the thunder. I know that's what it is. Go ahead.
Okay. Here we go. Here's definite proof of these points. First of all, the number of crypto users has doubled in just the last year. So obviously that means there's diminishing interest, right?
Yeah. Now
Microsoft now accepts Bitcoin for all online purchases, including Xboxes and so on.
I did not know that. I announced yesterday.
Overstock.com.
Okay, go ahead.
Overstock.com is now accepting 40 different major cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoin, 40 different ones on their website for everything. And they sell literally everything. They were the first major retailer that started accepting Bitcoin as payments back in January of 2014. And in the first 22 hours, they got 800 orders worth $126,000 in Bitcoin. That was a 4.33% increase from their normal income of $3 million a day. So I got to meet with the founder and CEO. I think you mentioned, Patrick Byrne.
There are listeners to this radio program right now, this moment, who remember the Patrick Byrne interviews way back when they was calling him a Sith Lord on all the talk shows and saying he was cuckoo and nuts back in 2006. So, guys, thanks for sticking around for the last 13 years. Go ahead.
Well, I really liked him. He's a visionary. He and I were both speaking at a conference out at the University of Oklahoma, and the people who paid $4,000 to attend this 3-day conference were all people who were managing $500 billion in assets. Okay, that was the get in, and the whole idea was, these people that are managing family offices and so on, and they were looking for ways to protect their clients' investments from various different threats. So I was there speaking about gold as a way of protecting assets and so on tonight. And I'm still a major believer in gold, but I'm becoming more and more of a believer in cryptocurrencies. By the way,
it has no future.
Even though it has no future, of course, yes. I'm not one of these people that believes that cryptocurrencies are going to replace gold. I think that's a ridiculous idea, because gold is solid. You can hold it in your hand. One of my favorite sayings is, if you can't hold it, you don't own it.
That's right.
But you can benefit a lot from various different kinds of assets that you can't hold. So anyway, he is now selling Overstock.com to spend all his time investing in crypto enterprises.
Now, wait a minute.
Very
Overstock's a publicly traded company. So what is it? Are they taking it private?
Well, the article didn't explain that.
Okay.
It may just mean that he's selling his
stake. Okay.
His part of the, yeah.
Sure.
But you got to remember that even though it's public, he had absolute controlling interest. I mean, at one point, the reason he and I got to talk is I had spoken about gold, and he took me aside, and he said that he had bought enough gold and set it aside to where if there was a major financial crash, he would be able to pay his employees in gold for a year. Mm. So I thought that was very interesting. He's a forward-looking, visionary kind of guy.
And it's been a couple years now or more since he offered his employees the opportunity to be paid in Bitcoin if they wanted to be. They could elect for US dollars or Bitcoin. Now, he started that when Bitcoin was maybe, I don't know, I think under $100. And of course, we all know it ran up to 20 grand, and then it ran back to 3 and change. But because we talked about this on the show, what would it be like as we were cresting at $20,000? I spoke to the audience and I said, now, can you imagine you and this guy have been working in the stock room side by side for years. You elect to take the Bitcoin, and he elected to take the US dollar paycheck. 6 months go by, you could practically buy the company now with the money you've made, and the other guy, he's still schlepping around for $400 a week.
Exactly.
What's the dynamic between those two employees? So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not much, because the guy with the Bitcoin has already quit, and he's living on Fiji. Now, guess has the biggest Bitcoin wallet in the world?
Tim Draper?
The U.S. government.
What? Oh, did they confiscate it? Is that how they got it?
Yeah, from confiscations.
Wow.
And they're having a heck of a time selling it because, well, the story's here, but I'll just briefly summarize it. They decided, instead of just selling little bits and pieces as they've been doing, to follow Tim Draper's model, which is, timing it. And so they decided to do that. About the time the Bitcoin came close to $20,000, I think it was like 19.5, they decided they were going to sell.
That's your tax dollars at work right there.
Right. They decided they're going to sell 513 coins. But, with typical government inefficiency, it took them a month to get permission to do it. And by that time, Bitcoin was back down to around 10,000. So, good old government. Okay. Cryptocurrency has no future when you can use crypto to buy space travel. Okay. Virgin Galactic is actually selling trips on their ships. Has been since 2013 in Bitcoin.
You could buy a trip on a ship with a chip.
Yeah, I don't know that the spacecraft looks exactly like the one I pictured
I
there,
hope
but
it does. I hope it does. Go ahead.
But if your travel tastes are more down to earth, you can also go to Expedia and buy anything they sell using cryptocurrencies.
I did not know that.
Yeah. You know that crypto has no future when the world's most successful companies have the most blockchain patents. Alibaba has 90 patent applications on Bitcoin. IBM is right behind them with 89. And it's not just tech companies. Banks and financial
Bank of
service
America
companies.
is not far behind, no.
Yeah. Well, MasterCard is third place with 80 filings. Bank of America is in fourth place with 53. And the National Bank of China, which is number 5 on the list, is one of the few central banks in the world to have moved into the blockchain industry. They have 44 patent applications focused on what they're planning to be a central bank digital currency. Most central banks are involved in some way or another in crypto, either by owning it or by considering plans to issue their own cryptocurrency. But here's the National Bank of China is going to be owning companies that are using the blockchain technology. So they're up in the stakes. Okay. You know that there's no future in currency when Yale University has invested $400 million in it. Their endowment manager, David Swinson, he's the most influential endowment manager in the world. He's running almost a $30 billion endowment fund for Yale. Has put $400 million in 2 different cryptocurrency funds. So I found that pretty interesting. You know, everybody says, you know, you can't buy anything with Bitcoin. None of the big boys are involved in it. Well, Yale is, and you're going to see here shortly where some of the biggest financial services companies, for instance, the New York Stock Exchange has created a crypto trading platform. You probably heard of it, Backed. It's supposed to launch in January. And guess who their partners are? NYSE, Microsoft, which you kind of expect, but also Starbucks. Okay, because Starbucks does a lot of retail business. So you're probably going to see Starbucks accepting cryptocurrencies in their stores.
Well, you know, Starbucks in their Seattle store have already tested the cashless model, not with crypto, but simply you got to have a credit card or a debit card. I mean, if you walked into this particular Starbucks during the test, I don't know if it's still going on or not, but if you whipped out $1, somebody behind you in line would buy your coffee because they did not accept cash dollar, any kind of cash money. Now, this has huge ramifications. A cashless society without any anonymity means the government, you know, they already know where you are based on your cell phone. Now they're going to know every dime you spend. See, a cashless society makes the black market go away. Because Sakamoto or Sashimoto, you know who I'm talking about, his original vision for Bitcoin was it was this anonymous thing, right? But if you deal with any of the exchanges, goodness gracious, one the other day we shared on the show, you got to give them a fingerprint. I mean, one of my crypto exchanges or accounts at a crypto exchange, I had to give them my driver's license and some other picture ID. I was like, wait a minute, this isn't what he envisioned, but I went ahead with it because I had to get the account open. But I think it's the same one. I can't remember the name right now. Michael might remember. But they've upped their game, and now they want a fingerprint on top of your driver's license with a picture.
Wow. Well, you know, I run a cryptocurrency investment fund.
I do. And
so we had to have an institutional account, which is even worse than setting up a personal account. It took me 2.5 weeks. I had to take a picture of myself holding my passport and showing my face and my passport side by side. It was quite a deal. Everybody's saying the big boys, they don't have anything to do with crypto. Well, Fidelity, one of the biggest ever, they've been mining Bitcoin since 2015. I didn't realize this until I started doing this research. Since 2015.
I did not know
But
that.
now it's got 27 million customers, and they're going to be offering digital assets, first of all, just to institutional investors, not to their retail customers. But they're setting up Fidelity Digital Asset Services, and it's going to be the first time a major, well, not a major Wall Street, any Wall Street firm is going to offer trading and custody services in the crypto market. So they're setting up a crypto desk, and they say that they're building a bridge between the traditional markets, traditional investors, and cryptocurrency, and that this has been in the works. They've been planning it for years, but they've just now made it public. So I'll be able to deal with their institutional desk through our fund, and
there are banks now outside of the U.S. where you can walk up to the instant teller, you can put in your card, you can withdraw fiat currency or Bitcoin or a couple of other cryptocurrencies. Now, this isn't out of some third party Wild Wild West ATM. There's a lot of those out there, be careful. But I'm talking about, you know, when you walk up to a bank and if you don't want to go inside, they've got an ATM plastered to the wall outside.
Yep.
That kind of bank ATM. Get your crypto right out of the teller. Now, a lot of people are not even, they're not even going to, they don't understand crypto. They don't want to know crypto. They just want to get some money out of their paycheck. And so they're just getting some money out of the teller. But they're going to be exposed to that every time they go to the teller. Did you want fiat or crypto? Do you want fiat or crypto? Do you want US dollars or crypto? And
paper or plastic.
They're going to get, people will get conditioned. And I spoke about this yesterday on the radio show, what you and I spoke about back on Friday when we had our phone conversation, that these university level courses being taught in Bitcoin and blockchain are going to trickle down to the high school level till you get to the point where some kid, you know, in junior high or high school or junior, senior, they're going to get their first job. And their first quote-unquote paycheck is going to be offered to them in dollars or crypto, or maybe they go to work for a place that only pays in crypto. Do you see what a transition that becomes in our society? When this wave of 15 and 16-year-olds, you know, the next generation of our workforce, they have been, see, it's still a foreign thing to you and I. It's still a foreign thing to a lot of the millennials. But the Z generation, I think they're calling them. I don't know what they're going to do after Z, but the current, my son is part of the Z generation. He's not being indoctrinated in crypto yet in his high school, but, well, there's a lot they don't do at his high school, but I would like to get him into private school for his senior year, but he loves the school and the band and the teachers, and so, but it's coming.
I heard call it the I generation. My daughter is in it. They say it's the first generation where the teenagers were raised with iPhones and iPads and iPods and so on, and basically everything focused around screens.
A 3-year-old today can download an app from the App Store.
I know.
When I was 3 years old, I was flinging crap at the wall.
The dogs?
Nothing stuck.
Never mind.
Right.
Speaking of Apple, everybody knows the Woz, right?
Oh, yeah. He got hacked for some of his crypto. I don't know if you heard about that, but
I did not
it's been
know
a while.
that. No.
When the Woz gets hacked, I mean, come on. No, is anybody safe? I am, because I got my crypto in my drawer on my thumb drive, and nobody can get it. Go ahead.
Well, don't tell on the radio where you got it, because
it's not really in my drawer. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
It's in the wall safe behind a picture of Jesus and the little girl. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, he said since he's left Apple, he's regularly received all kinds of pitches on innovative companies, and he's turned them all down. But this is the first time since he left Apple that he's agreed to join a company, and it's a company that is using blockchain technology to do venture capital and finance blockchain companies. Amazon Web Services has partnered with a blockchain company. And this is going to be made available all over the world eventually. They're starting off with just a few countries. The Gates Foundation uses the Ripple Interledger in making mobile payments. I'm going to talk a little bit more towards the end about how Bitcoin can end poverty in the world, but they're starting in a small way using payment services on the blockchain for financially impoverished people and unbanked people.
Can I share this
IBM?
Can I share this with you real quick? In 2003, when I went to Africa for the first time, I was taken aback because all of these people who had no roof over their head, they all had a cell phone. Now, this is the early days of cell phone. This is before the iPhone, or even the Android phone. And there were all these little shacks. Everywhere you went, these little wood shacks, people in there selling these airtime cards. These cell phones, you could buy a cell phone in Kampala, Uganda, East Africa, in 2003 for $8. It came out of China. We didn't know what a smartphone was back then. These were just the old flip phones, but $8. Then they would go over and they would buy one of these cards from the next shack down the street, down the dirt road, and then they would do something on their phone, and that airtime goes into the phone. Now they could make phone calls if they wanted to, but they got nobody to call. But what they can do is they could go down to the water company and pay their water bill. You see, most of these people don't have access to the traditional banking because many of them were born out in the way back where there is no birth certificate. They don't have the money to maintain a minimum balance, and they don't have the identification necessary to open traditional banking accounts. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Go ahead.
Well, the other interesting thing on that is it's all a matter of timing. It's fortunate in a way that some of these impoverished countries were so broke. Otherwise, they would have been putting up cell towers and spending a lot of money. I'm sorry, not cell tower, but telephone lines, which is very expensive. It's way cheaper to put up cell towers. So I first started seeing this happening when I was in Europe, Italy, for instance. If you wanted to get a landline, it took 6 months to get it installed, but you could walk into a store and get a cell phone.
Wow.
Italy was already transforming itself to cellular and getting away from landlines. But we were a rich company, so now we have all this huge infrastructure and regular copper lines, and so now they're figuring out ways to convert it to television signals and things like that, because most of the people I talk to these days don't even have a landline phone. They only have cell.
Right.
So, and by the way, back to the Africa thing for a second. How do they charge their phones? They don't have electricity. They're getting these little tiny solar panels, like about 8 by 8 inches, and mounting them on the roof, and that's how they charge their cell phones.
And they have plenty of sun there.
They don't have electricity, but they've got a cell phone. This one is really cool. IBM and a company called Stellar, which I had not heard of before, they're launching international blockchain banking. I mean, the banks are going away. The banks are going the way of the blacksmith and the printed newspaper and so on. But they're starting again in most of the Asian countries right now. But this will be worldwide within a year or two, and merchants and consumers will be able to transfer money to other countries in real time,
instantaneously.
And it used to take days.
Oh,
okay.
When we first built the orphanage back in 2000, or started building it, our support that we would send money monthly to keep the work going and moving forward. And I remember going to the bank, and it was a big rigmarole. They ask you all these questions to make sure you weren't,
where'd you get this money?
Yeah.
What's it being used for? Yeah.
Well, at my bank, if I went to my bank where they knew me, where everybody knew my name, then it wasn't so much a problem. But if I had to pop into another branch or something, it became an issue. But I had to pay $50 to send that money, to wire it. And yes, it took a couple days for it to get there and post, and for them to be able to actually access it at Barclays Bank. Now, we got smart and opened a U.S. bank account in the name of the orphanage so that I could just deposit money straight in there, and he could walk up to the teller, Chris could, and Pastor Chris, he could walk right up to the teller there at Barclays and just take the money out like that. So we were kind of ahead of this game, but see, where I had that option, people living in Africa, they don't have that same option because they can't walk into a bank where everybody knows their name. So go ahead.
Well, everybody knows your name.
That's right.
Remember Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, famously saying that Bitcoin is a fraud, and that he would fire any of his employees if he found that they owned cryptocurrencies. Well, as he was making these stupid statements, his own companies, JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, were buying millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin ETNs.
They were buying Bitcoin on the dip he created as he stood on the street calling it a fraud. They were in the basement buying the dip. And it dipped right that day.
It's amazing. And here there are other big institutional buyers like Barclays, like Goldman Sachs, but they're buying far superseded all the other big guys. Major League Baseball, I mean, they're getting into cryptos. They're starting a game based on blockchain.
Ethereum. Go Ethereum.
Yep.
All right.
And here's George Soros. You can see how smart he is.
He just smoked a big doobie.
He's bashing Bitcoin, but at the same time, the guy who runs his family office and does the macro investing for the Soros Fund has gotten approval to trade cryptocurrencies. Wonder who he got approval from. Remember the Winklevoss twins?
Oh, indeed I do. They've been trying to get their ETF open for, I think they finally got approval. Go ahead.
No. That's one of the reasons why Bitcoin dropped so much at the end of the year, because everybody was expecting the SEC to approve the ETF, and they didn't. It will happen next year, I predict. But, they got $65 million from Facebook because they said Facebook stole their idea. Well, they put $11 million into Bitcoin. Their Bitcoin has now gone up 10,000%. They have one of the largest block Bitcoin portfolios in the world, and they've never sold one single coin. So they made enough money. Now they're co-founders of Gemini, which, in my opinion, let's put it this way, this where we have our account for our fund, it's arguably the safest cryptocurrency platform in the world, mainly because, not just because it's based in the United States, most of the exchanges are based offshore, and that's where they're having problems.
Well, I just announced on the radio show today before you came on that New York announced today that they are launching a cryptocurrency task force. Whatever that means, I just see G-men scurrying around everywhere in trench coats with their hats pulled down. Go ahead.
Well, the people that I know that are doing the best, and you and I have a mutual friend who's making huge returns in crypto, he welcomes regulation because it's going to keep the scammers out. But anyway, New York has the toughest financial regulations in the world, tougher than the U.S. There's Coinbase and there's Gemini, the two big ones based in the United States. We chose Gemini because Coinbase is in California and Gemini's in New York and under New York laws.
It's not because you think California is going to fall off into the ocean.
No, it's because I'm praying that California will fall off. I shouldn't say that. That's not nice.
All right.
John McAfee, he's kind of a wild.
He's a wild card. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's saying that Bitcoin is going to $500,000, and I won't say what he bet on that, but he made a pretty serious personal bet, and he's gone online and said he challenges anybody who wants to bet against him. He'll take the money. He knows that it's going to $500,000. Some of the people that are a little bit more down to earth are saying that $55,000 is possible by 2022.
Now that Tom Lee, he's a very smart guy.
He is, and he's, as it says there, he's one of the Wall Street's biggest equity bears, and he's been saying for a while that what is happening now was going to happen. So I have a lot of respect for him. But dozens of experts are predicting Bitcoin above $50,000 in the next year or two, just based on the thousands and thousands of different ways that blockchain and cryptocurrencies are going to change the world. So, you know, these are just a few more of the reasons why there's no way that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies can succeed. Here's Jack Dorsey. Everybody knows him as the CEO of Twitter, but he's also CEO of Square. He says that it's the currency of the future, and he's been really helping promote cryptocurrency. In 2014, in the Square company, he started letting merchants use Bitcoin. He's way ahead of his time.
Well, now, he's also a co-founder of PayPal, Jack Dorsey. Correct?
That I did not know.
Well, okay, I may have misspoke there, but you know, let me ask my friend the internet. She knows everything. Stand by. Jack
It'd be interesting if you did, because PayPal is a competitor of Square.
Hang on. Oh gosh. The PayPal Mafia. Oh. No, you're right. Yeah, he's with Square. Okay.
Right.
Well, so here's how the story goes. When we had our pre-sale, now let me just preface this with PayPal now accepts cryptocurrency, if I'm not mistaken, and so does Square. When we were trying to have our pre-sale, which we had, but although it's, don't make me cry. But first, PayPal shut us down because we violated their terms of service. We don't do crypto. Froze our funds. So we moved to Square. I read their terms of service, every jot and tittle, and there was nothing in there about it. And so we went with Square. Took them 2 days to freeze our money. Now, it was significant, and we had to scramble to figure out. Michael, you still there? No, he had to take a call. All right. So we've had our funds frozen twice, and we're in the middle of a pre-sale, right? So I had to do a lot of scrambling, and thank God for Wyoming. But yeah, we pulled it off. Now these guys are like, now Square and PayPal, they're both big proponents of the crypto movement. Huh. Clever, sure. Guys. I guess if I've ever been ahead of my time on anything, apparently that was it. So go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Okay. Sir Richard Branson, he says that blockchain is an economic revolution. Well, he's certainly not the first person to say that. But this is something interesting. He's particularly interested in the fact that in developing countries, land titles are often manipulated, forged, and just outright taken from the rightful owners.
True story.
He says if you take somewhere like Egypt, 90% of the people have homes, they got a garden, but they got no piece of paper to prove ownership of that. And without ownership of your property, it's almost impossible to start a business or get a bank. So he believes that blockchain is the answer to honesty and transparency in land titling, because again, the titles will be immutable, just like sales of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about big companies getting behind it. Goldman Sachs is backing a company called Circle, which has launched a crypto finance company. And, you know, when a financial behemoth like Goldman Sachs gets behind digital currency, you know it's kind of past the fad stage.
Mike Novogratz, Galaxy Digital, $1.33 a share. Just saying. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The Coinbase exchange is valued at $8 billion. Well,
and they've been in existence 3 years?
I think so. But you know, just to put it in perspective, they're valued at $8 billion. That means that crypto has definitely come of age. It's not a fad, as so many people try to say. People that say it's a fad are the people that don't understand it, haven't gotten any education. By the way, let me just put in a little plug. You know, my main thing is gold, but I love to teach on anything financial. But if anyone wants to learn about investment grade gold, if you go to CFRNgold.com, I'll send you the Gold Education Starter Package. But if you're making a note there that you're interested in this, I will also send you some real in-depth articles that I've researched and written on cryptocurrency. They're going to be part of a book I'm writing on understanding the whole Bitcoin space.
And if the postmark says Ecuador, you'll know that's your starter pack. So open it.
Okay. Here's a good one. Binance, which has only been around for a few years, they're now more profitable than Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank's one of the biggest banks in the world, and they're making more profit than Deutsche Bank. So where's the money being made? Well, in traditional finance or in crypto. Figure it out. Don't be late to the game.
So is what you're... Oh, no, you're still got more. Keep coming.
A few more here, yeah. The co-founder of, or the founder of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian, he sold Reddit, but he stayed there and has been running it. But now he stepped away from his position there, and he's spending all his time in crypto. He owns cryptos, he invests in crypto companies like Coinbase, and he supports startup blockchain companies. He says, as a store of value, there is some real traction with Bitcoin. And he sees it transforming countries like Turkey, that where as volatile as Bitcoin is, it's more dependable than the Turkish lira. So he believes that this is actually going to be a hedge against economic crisis. I don't know too many people that know much about money that don't believe that we have some type of economic crisis on the horizon. They all have different opinions about what form it's going to take. But, you know, where people used to just run to gold, he's running to crypto. Company called Blockchains LLC. They're buying 60,000 acres in Nevada, and it's going to be like an incubator for blockchain companies. 60,000 acres.
That's bigger than our place in Ecuador.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The co-founder of Wikipedia has left them. He wasn't happy with the company because there were just a small number of people that were really controlling the creation and editing, and it's pretty liberal, let's face it, in its slant. So
almost as bad as Snopes, but not quite.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's as bad as Snopes.
You know that's a man and a woman working out of their living room, right? Did you know that?
I thought it was out of the basement.
Okay. I'll give you the basement. They may have had to move. They're expanding. I don't know.
But he started up a company called Everpedia, and it's it's going to be impervious to censorship because everything's going to be on the blockchain. Okay, it's just getting started. But the other big thing is
now does that include hate speech? And do you think that should be allowed? I'm just curious.
Okay. The problem with any kind of censoring is who gets to be the censor.
Right.
You know,
right.
I think it's kind of like the marketplace. If you go to a restaurant and somebody serves you bad food and you get food poisoning, you don't go back there and you tell your friends about it. And so if you have a forum online and somebody's acting like a jerk, the other people can shout him down.
Right.
But he goes beyond that. It's going to be more democratic than Wikipedia, since it's using a POS model, and it allows for the members to vote to change and upgrade the network, so they can vote out people that are, the majority, that not a couple little people like is at Wikipedia. But here's the biggest deal here. Many countries, many nations have blocked Wikipedia because it has information they don't want their people to know. But Wikipedia lives on servers. Everpedia is going to live on the blockchain. So there's no way that you can block an IP address and a nation keep this wiki out of their country.
There is no one server. There is no one building. There is no one person or government that can shut it down.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Now, I'd never heard of this guy, Akon.
I reported this a few months back. Yep.
Okay. He thinks that cryptocurrencies can be the savior of Africa. He's an African-American guy. He says it brings power back to the people and brings the security back into the currency system. The president of Senegal has given him 2,000 acres, and they're going to build a city on there, and it's going to be the first 100% crypto-based city with crypto at the basis, at the center of all transactional life. The only buying and selling will be with crypto. And so in the ecosystem, people will buy, hold, and spend cryptocurrency straight from their smartphones.
Smartphones are coming out of the factory in China now with built-in crypto wallets.
Seriously.
And I warned everybody to be very, very careful of those.
I would think so.
If they'll put antifreeze in the toothpaste that they sell to nursing homes, God only knows what they'll put in your smartphone. So I'm just saying be careful. And I'm not being ping-pong here. I'm not being racist. I'm just warning you because you're my audience and I love you.
Yeah, well, the U.S. government doesn't allow one particular brand of Chinese cell phones to be sold in their PXs and so on because they've got security vulnerabilities. Ashton Kutcher, apparently a singer.
70s show. Oh, and he also married the pretty lady. What was her name? No, not the pretty lady, but the short black hair. What was her name?
He married the tennis player.
It was a May. No. This was a May December thing. He was like 20-something, and somebody in the audience helped me out. Let me bring up the chat box here. No, not Mila Kunis. Oh goodness, it's on. She was in that movie Striptease or Stripper. She was a middle-aged woman shopping. Anyway, Demi Moore.
Well, the main thing here is
Demi Moore. That's what it was. Demi Moore.
He was giving an example. He was going to donate this $4 million anyway, but you know what it takes if you want to transfer $4 million to somebody. It takes time and paperwork. He did it in seconds on live TV, donated $4 million to a charity just to demonstrate how easy it was to move large amounts of money. Gary Cohn, he was the director of the National Economic Council and the chief economic advisor to Trump, better known as being formerly the president of and COO of Goldman Sachs. he's joined the board of a blockchain company. He says, I've been very interested in blockchain technology for a number of years, and Spring Labs is developing a network that could have profound implications for the financial services sectors.
This validates the trend that I've been mentioning for some time. Over the last couple years, more people have left Goldman Sachs for fintech and cryptocurrency than left Goldman Sachs over the last 10 years for the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve.
Well, that's good. At least they're doing something useful. Yeah, instead of working for the government. The NBA, you can read it there. Various different parts of the NBA are investing in or sponsoring crypto enterprises. Everybody wants to get on board. The Rockefellers are investing in cryptocurrency. I can just kind of hustle through these because these last two slides are the most important ones as far as I'm concerned. There's a guy named Alex Gladstein. He's with the Human Rights Foundation, and he wrote an article, Why Bitcoin Matters for Freedom.
I read this to you guys the other day when I did the news. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I thought this was wonderful. He says, for people living under authoritarian governments, Bitcoin can be a valuable financial tool as a censorship-resistant medium of exchange. The government can't control what they spend and how they spend it. And so it takes away power from authoritarian regimes and gives it to the people. And it will help in human rights. And then the most important one, blockchain can actually bring an end to poverty in emerging nations. There's roughly a third of the world, something like slightly less than 2.5 billion people that are unbanked. They don't have any access to the things that we have.
I think that's a very, I think that number underreports. I really do. I think it's more than a third.
Well, it could very well be.
Because, I mean, this is a fact. Only 1/3 of the world's population sits on a porcelain throne for their morning constitution.
Wow.
Yeah. This is why these other countries don't have colon cancer, because they're doing it the way God taught them to do it. And that's why that lady had so much success with the squatty potty that she introduced on Shark Tank. It's one of the best-selling products of all time that they've had on Shark Tank. Have you seen it? It's just a little stool. It wraps around the base of your toilet, and then when you sit down, you pull it out and you put your feet up on it. So you're like one of the people in Africa that's squatting over a little hole you just dug in the ground. And that's how you don't get colon cancer. I'm serious.
The first time I visited France, and I was in a restaurant, a tourist restaurant, and I go in the bathroom, there's a hole in the ground. There is, seriously. This was some years ago. The first time
we went to church in Africa, they took my wife to the bathroom, and she came back with this horrified look on her face. Go ahead.
But that's all it was. It was just a hole in the ground,
and
you just sort of went in there and squatted and aimed, you know. But the fact that they can't get a debit card, a credit, they can't even buy
prepaid shoes. Go ahead.
Prepaid cards in some of these impoverished nations. So therefore, they can't do business. But again, as we talked about earlier, they almost all have cell phones. So blockchain and crypto can help them access the tools that you and I use every single day to function financially.
I've been saying for a while, entrepreneurs in America, watch out, because the third world is about to eat your lunch. Because if you think we're the only country that has great ideas, no. There's people all over Africa, and there's a lot of people all over Africa. They have great ideas too. They have entrepreneurs, but they have not had access to world capital markets before. And here it is. An $8 cell phone and an internet connection. Bang.
Well, if it allows them to start businesses, you know, like I've worked with a lot of missionaries that do microfinance. I'm sure you've heard a lot about this.
That was started. Have you read the book behind the guy who started the whole micro lending thing?
No.
He was a Muslim, but that doesn't detract from the story. He was a good guy. And I've got the book somewhere. I'll give you the name and the author. it is such a great read because nobody believed in him and his idea. And now he's actually the organization he started, if I'm not mistaken, is today the World Bank.
Wow.
And he was going out, he had people going out on bicycles to the little villages, you know, loaning this lady $20 so she could get a cell phone, and she would become the only telephone in that little village. And she earned her living and was able to, you know, flourish, prosper financially over a $20 loan. And the payback rate on those micro loans, because you not only have the bank that says, you know, hey, we want to get paid, but you're in this village, and so there's the peer pressure. You know, nobody wants to default on their micro loan. They had something like a 97% payback rate in the early days. And that's how it morphed and grew into the World Bank. It was a phenomenon. And this guy with an idea, I'll get you the title and the author. I've got it here. It's a great book. I'll give it to you, all of you in the audience too, when I find it.
Well, for what it would cost us to take our wives out for dinner, that amount of money can set a family up into a business that can support them for the rest of their lives.
For generations going forward.
Yeah,
except most family ownership businesses fail by the third generation, so I'm told.
Yeah, I guess. I hadn't thought about that part of it, but I write an article every week called Conservative Truth. If anybody's interested, it's conservativetruth.org.
It's a great website, guys. You should go there, put your Fox Nation on hold, go to conservativetruth.org.
Thank you. You know, there's proof that, you know, anybody can read Conservative Truth. It's not that complicated because Dwayne reads it.
That's right. I'm living proof.
But anyway, I did an article called, I said, Last Minute Christmas Gifts That Can Save Lives. And it was talking about how you can go through Compassion International and buy a pig or a cow or a goat for a family in a third world country and change your lives.
With a significant markup, but that's okay. You're still doing good.
Yeah, because I don't know how to buy a cow and ship it over to Africa.
Me either. That's true.
And their markup, because it's a nonprofit, goes to buy food and support schools and orphanages and stuff too. So, you know, it's a great organization. It's one of the best in the world as far as the highest percentage of the money donated actually gets to the people. Only something like 5 to 6% is used for administration, which is pretty amazing. But anyway,
is that a current figure? Do you know?
I can look it up in the article.
Okay.
But
okay.
There's other things, like there's organizations that are going into villages and drilling wells on the land of an orphanage, for instance, that's been having trouble getting enough donations to keep them alive. And so they pump the water, they bottle it, and they sell it for a few pennies to the people in the village, and the orphanage becomes self-supporting, okay? Because somebody invested some money to drill the well for them.
Hey, have you heard of CTAP?
No, I haven't.
That's a Christian Trader's agricultural product, which is being birthed in Kampala, Uganda, East Africa, as we speak.
Cool.
Yeah. It's on our website. But
Christian Trader.
Christian Trader's Agricultural Project, CTAP. That's part of the underlying infrastructure of the CT Global Token. It's 2.4 billion Christians worldwide and only 1 million CTG tokens. And by the way, in case you didn't know, CTG is the official cryptocurrency of the global Christian community. It's a true story. You can learn more about it at globalchristiancommunity.com. Go ahead.
That's great. Well, that was pretty much what I have for today. I just...
So, okay, but you want to end...
You know, cryptocurrency is a great way for people who already have money to make more money. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But I'm most excited about its potential for ending poverty.
Amen.
You know, it's going to change the way commerce is done all over the world. but we need to make sure that the poor people get to benefit from it as well.
I do believe you have presented empirical evidence here that cryptocurrency is certainly not the future because it's the present.
Amen. That's true. I started an article the other day that said, stop looking for the next big thing. Yeah, it was always looking for the next big deal. You know, it's here.
Cryptocurrency compared to the internet. When we launched CTG, the year was 1992. That's comparing crypto to the internet. It was 1992 in internet years. We're probably at about 1995 right now. So think about that. If you could have got your hands around some kind of technology, some kind of website, you could have, in 1997, you could have bought drugs.com from GoDaddy for $12, and it sold for $7 million. So,
oh man, and flowers.com and so on. Yeah, some people were very forward thinking. I didn't jump on it quick enough. Frankly, I did.
I just bought the wrong stuff. So anyway. Okay. And then they came out with the .nets and the .orgs, and now they got .anything and .life and .work, and it's just crazy. .xxx.
You know, there's just not enough .com names around there unless you're willing to have a domain name that's like 30 characters long.
The other night on the Prophet, this guy Marcus Lemon. You ever watch that show, Marcus Lemon, the Prophet?
No.
Yeah, he was helping this. He goes around America. He's wealthy. He's done well, and he goes around America and he finds people find him. Then he goes to visit them in their small town where their business is struggling. And with his big city fancy pants know-how, he helps them bail out their business and turn it around. He invests and gets a percentage of ownership in their business. It's a pretty good show. But he went to Santa's Toys in Santa, Indiana, I think it was, the other day to help this guy and his wife who had this struggling toy shop. And their website was santatoys.net. And he just came unglued because the reason they went with santatoys.net is because it only costs like $8, or no, it was like whatever. They could have got santatoys.com for a few dollars more. And so Marcus, now we're CFRN.net for a reason, and I won't go into that. Everyone who's part of the audience probably knows, but if I'm not mistaken, we have the .com, or maybe, anyway, doesn't matter. It's now santastoys.com because Marcus Lemon fixed it, and their business is flourishing for other reasons than just changing the domain. But these guys, they had a nice little store, but they had a website, but they weren't, promoting the economic, you can watch the episode at cnbc.com, I believe, or just Google it, The Prophet, Profit.
Well, I hope everybody will go to the site and
go to CFRNgold.com. Is that where you want to send them? Or you want to send them to conservativetruth.org?
Well, CFRN Gold, because that way they'll automatically be eligible to attend the webinars put on my Christian Financial Concepts. We have about 500 hours of teaching on the site now from some of the best teachers on economics, finance, and business in the church, and they're all there. They're all free. So we got a great library. Have you heard
about this new conservative podcast network on the horizon? I don't know if they've named it. I don't know if they've named it yet.
I've been hearing some rumors. Sounds very interesting to me.
Broadcasting live from Pray-Seek Find, deep inside the borders of Ecuador, in a tropical cloud forest. I get goosebumps. Okay. So are you leaving now? Is this how you get out of this?
I think I need to, because my time is running out. I budget an hour, and we're 2 minutes until that right now.
Boy, that rubs me raw when people talk about budgets and stuff. No,
Really?
No, I'm proud of you. No, it's good. I should learn from this. So you're going to be available later today? We have much to talk about, my friend.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Okay. I'll talk to you then.
Okay, happy
Ladies
New Year
and
to
gentlemen,
you.
my new bestie, Dr. Tom. Thanks for dropping by. Dr. Tom's with us every Thursday, and usually we talk a lot about gold, and in particular, investment-grade gold. Learn more. Go to CFRN Gold, one word, CFRNGold.com. Get that starter pack, so next Thursday you'll be on the same page as Dr. Tom and I. Thanks, Dr. Tom. Okay, guys, let me pull the screens back. I can do that with a couple mouse clicks. I think John is here. And John, thank you for being patient. Let me look. Let me take a look-see. John, welcome to the show. Okay. He just jingled me on.
Thanks.
There you are. Okay, great. Yeah. Thanks for being patient and holding there. I appreciate it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's another big down day today, and the second day of the year tells me that we're probably going to have a bit of a rebound sometime in later January. And if something good enough comes out in the next day or two, you know, you could even have a rebound from here. But it looks pretty grim right now. As a matter of just luck more than anything else, I guess, and discipline, we sold the high last night. You know, we ran up into the close and just automatically sold, and came in around 10 o'clock, and the Dow was down about nearly 300 or 200 plus at the time, maybe 250. There was a bit of a, then it went right down during the night. It came in around 3 or 4 in the morning, caught that bounce, and then the bounce into the open, and then we sold it again. And, you know, I guess the market's just having a tough time because the Democrats are taking over today. And so it's really actually acting worse today than it has in a long time. Every rally is getting sold.
I don't know that I would call it horrific, though. There were 3 guys on TV yesterday in 3 minutes that decided that today's market action would be horrific. You know, if we drop back down to where we put out the alert for that swing trade back at, what the heck was that now? Oh, right there, 23.75. If we fell back to that level, which we came relatively close, but that was on the 50% retracement from here. So, you know, today, to me, I think this thing, John, it's completely overblown, overdone. I mean, they reduced their revenue guidance from 89 billion to 84 billion. I don't think anybody's going to go hungry over at the Apple store. So, anyway. Okay, audience, I guess it's just you and I. All right, so let me walk you through a couple things. John will be back in a minute, I'm sure. Okay. Oh, I was going to move the weekly trading zones around, wasn't I? You were waiting on that. You know, I wish I could. If I put this week's on top of last week's, and it gets so cluttered looking. We tried that once before. But you might take a snapshot of this if you're the snapshot type, because there's people out there that are going to try to tell you, like my co-host of the past, that support and resistance is broken. That's old-fashioned. If you try to trade off support and resistance, well, you can't do that because it doesn't work anymore. I'm so sorry. You get out of here with that old saw. You know, what are you going to do? You lead a horse with water, but you cannot make them drink. Well, you can, but it takes a big stick. Just kidding. Peta, relax. All right. Okay, let's do this thing. 2520/21. Now, I showed you that one more time just so you might write them down if you're not the type that normally writes these down, because next week I'll be singing the same song going, I sure hope you wrote them down last week. Why? Well, you'll see.
Hi. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, you were saying that this isn't too bad. Well, you know, we are down nearly 600 points.
No, what I said was I said it's overdone because Apple changed their guidance, their revenue guidance from 89 billion first quarter to 84 billion. I don't think anybody's going to go hungry over at the Apple Store.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, they may have made it sound worse.
Engineer. No, that's what I said. I put it in the alert channel yesterday. I said, because they don't have a new product to bring out. They have just engineered their new product, and the new product is a surprise to the upside when they report.
Yeah, you know, the thing about these numbers is, remember, we're probably growing about 3%. Going into that sort of rate, most of these companies doing pretty well. And a lot of the sell-off was due to uncertainty and somewhat, you know, more conservative forward guidance. So there is a chance that there'll be some upside surprises in the reporting period that's coming up. And one of those might be Facebook. You know, I mean, Facebook is a pretty, I know it's gotten a lot of flack, but if Facebook sort of gets back on track and outperforms or you know, beats expectations, that could go a long way towards mending this market. And you know, Google, you know, listen, it's kind of bread and butter for most of these companies. They don't really have to. A lot of this earnings is kind of automated, and as long as the economy is growing, remember, there's more. You know, still you're adding 200,000 jobs every month. You know, it's quite a good stimulus to the economy all the time.
Did you see the survey that came out?
And look, we've had a record Christmas, for heaven's sake. I mean, we've had one of the greatest Christmases ever, possibly the best ever, and that's
not according to Apple.
No, maybe not for them, but for most other people, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, overdone. It's just overdone.
I mean, we could, you know, what that record day tells me that we had a week ago is sometime, you know, in the maybe even starting today. Look, you know, it's sort of buy the rumor, sell the fact. The fact that the Democrats have taken over, which has been anticipated, and the market's been going down. You know, maybe now that it's happened, it might not be so bad, and the market might start to rally. So it's you know, whether we're going to get back in some sort of an amazing afternoon rally today is debatable. But not.
I don't see it happening in this session.
It looks too heavy to be happening, in all honesty. And you know, we maybe find the bottom tomorrow, and then if we had a rally in the last 2 days of the first week, that probably means we're going to rally later in the year. So let's see what happens. The gold, in the meantime, is acting fantastic. We're up $9.50 right now.
Where's today?
It's up 10 cents.
Nice.
And it's approaching. Look, it looks like we might just get to $13 gold, $1,300 gold, and $16 silver, you know, before the weekend. It looks like that could happen. That would be sweet. I don't think we're going to stop at 13. I think we're going to go to at least 13.30, 40, and maybe, you know, after a bit of consolidation, we might go up a couple of $100 more in the metals. So the metals are acting very, very well indeed. And even if the market goes up, I think the metals are going to go up with them this time. And I think the Fed's highly unlikely to raise rates next time.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I don't think they will. No, not this close to. Yeah, maybe later in the year. I don't know. It's going to be I think what everyone will be watching for on the next Fed meeting is not whether they raise or don't, but what sort of guidance they give going forward.
Yeah.
If they've changed their agenda, if they are going to. Now, I just got this in the chat box. Karen says that Democrats just filed paperwork to impeach Trump on day one of Congress, which we know you can impeach somebody, the Democrats. Just filed the paperwork to impeach Trump on day one of Congress. On what grounds?
Oh, they're crazy.
Bringing jobs back to America, putting money in people's pocket? That's not going to go over well with the American voter.
You know, you hear these mantras, oh, you know, we're all about the family and jobs and good jobs. You know, hey, hello, you know, we got the greatest job market of all time. Not thanks to you. You know, it's crazy. And by the way, this climate change, did you hear about this fella on Beat the Press, Chuck Todd? He came out saying on Sunday he's not going to give any airtime to any climate deniers. I mean, what a ridiculous. Remember Mr. T used to say, pity the fool? Right. I think that fits this guy.
You know, the Democrats tried to pass a law that you couldn't say that climate change wasn't real. It didn't pass, but they tried.
For God's sake, you know, these volcanoes is a good example of what has been going on for thousands of years before humans ever walked on this planet. You know, there's been climate change like going on at the moment. The good news is, let me give you the good news. This is the 6th warmest summer in 2018. Not the hottest, it was the 6th. 6th. That tells you the temperatures are going down. Do you know the actual temperature increase over the last century? It's barely a degree. It's between a half a degree and a degree or something. It's ridiculous. And people are blaming wildfires on that. I mean, come on.
When I woke up in Phoenix, Arizona this morning, it was 31 degrees. Valley of the Sun. 31 degrees. I mean, which is nice for, it's nice to wake up to some brisk winter weather in Phoenix, but you know, where's the global warm? I don't know.
I think they're going to get their wish, and we're going to go into a mini ice age here. All the signs are pointing towards it, and you know what? That'll shut them up pretty quick. You won't hear too much about climate change anymore. And you know, there were some benefits. There were no tornadoes this year at all, 0. And there's no way in the world there's any relationship to the climate change and this fires in California. And the third thing is, we've had abundant crops, a bumper crop of just about everything. That's why the price is down. I mean, we've had some of the highest yielding crops of all time in the last year. So all this dire predictions of that there were going to be droughts and food shortages and all this, it's just a lot of nonsense. It's really ridiculous.
Karen just brought it to my attention. We got non-farm payrolls out tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch that one, guys, because that could move this market.
You know, you're right, and it could be the one that pops gold over 1,300. If it's probably more than 20,000 claims.
Well, the forecast is 3.7 on the unemployment rate. The previous was 3.7, so they're not looking for a gain there. Non-farm payrolls is forecast at 178,000. The previous was 155,000.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a bad number because that's another thing. You know, when you get unless we have a meteoric rally this afternoon. Generally speaking, if you have a down Thursday afternoon, usually means that the news is not going to be good on the jobs front. So, well,
there was some disappointing manufacturing news today, and they say that's what took the market down because they got tired of playing the old applesauce, so they switched it.
Yeah. So if the unemployment claims, sorry, we had that today. What happened with the unemployment claims? You know.
No, those are tomorrow.
Oh, they're coming. Okay, well, if they're up,
hang on. Let me look back.
They're probably out tomorrow because of the break.
Well, let me look. Maybe those did. ADP non-farm employment change came out today at 8:15.
What was that like?
They were looking for 179,000. And they got 271,000.
Holy mackerel!
Now that's non-farm employment change. So is that's not jobs gained or lost?
That's pretty bullish, boy. You know, if there was an upside surprise number tomorrow, that could be.
Now, this ISM manufacturing data, the PMI, ISM manufacturing PMI, that's high-profile news event. The forecast was 57.7, came in at 54.1. Last time
But
it
the other day,
was
the PMI,
59.3.
PMI was one of the strongest of all time. Yeah, so you know, they're kind of mixed numbers right now. Starting to get some traction here, Dwayne. You know, we could actually have a decent rally this afternoon.
I don't see it taking out this high right here that we put in on the gap fill. Oh, that reminds me, nobody ever answered my question. Now I have a thing. You know, I've got some things, and one of the things is important prices, important areas are almost always tested. In the futures market, I have a thing. When the indices gap higher or lower on the open, they almost always close. Now, since the inception of the markets, what percentage of the time have the indices closed the gap when they gapped lower on the open? Gary got it. Oh, Gary, you already know the answer. Anybody else want to take a stab at it? What percentage of the time has a gap lower open on the indices filled since the inception of the markets? 100% of the time. Had this gap not filled right here, it would be the first time in history that the S&P 500 did not fill a gap lower open. There's very few absolutes in the world of trading, but I absolutely positively promise you that anytime you see futures gap lower in the open, and I'm not saying they're going to close the gap in an hour or 2 hours. I mean, look how long it took. These are 30-minute candles. Boom, 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 boom. But did it fill the gap? Of course it did. Right up to the zone, this week's zone, rolls over. Down we go. Anything else you want to add, John?
No, listen, thanks for the invite. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Hey, your cough sounds much better today. Are you taking something?
Yeah, well, look, I tried to find that. I did. I tried to find. Thanks very much to the person who recommended that.
Yeah, that was Bob G up in Canada.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get that stuff. It was just, you know, in the store. I called around to a few stores, but they didn't have it.
I think he found it on the internet.
Yeah, it's there. It's there on the internet for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now. Okay, guys. Now, that's 100% of the time. That's a big deal. Okay? Tell me something else in the market that happens 100% of the time. Oh, you always get stopped out to the tick. Okay. No, you don't. If you did, if you honestly got stopped out to the tick every single time you put on a trade, I would pay you good money for that trading strategy, because I'd flip it over and just trade the other direction. You see what I'm saying? See what I just did? I turned it around on you 100% of the time. Okay, now, real quick, I'm going to run you through a thing or two about, well, a thing or two, okay? I just want to show you what we've been up to since the markets opened Sunday night. Real quick, then we cut to the good word for the day. We're out of here. Okay. In the alert service here in this particular private channel, of which I have different ones depending upon, you know, who the partner or passport, who the passport holder is. Are they retail? Are they anyway? Here, but this is for everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Globex. Week 21. Gap higher open on the indices. First thing, sell the ES 2490 to 2488. Got it. Now that gap higher, or that gap is back here. So just as we thought this gap would fill when we gapped higher on the open, bang, fill the gap and go. Okay. All right. Now you notice how once the gap was filled, you see that? Once the gap was filled, what happened? Market went the other way. What happened over here once the gap was filled? There's the gap. Once it was filled, what happened? Market fell apart. I've said too much already. Okay, just kidding. Okay, then we had a no trigger on the Dow, and then the Russell. We're looking to sell that at 1343. Got to the target, and then some. Sold the NQ, got to the target, and then some. Crude oil, done and done. No trigger. This was copper. Goodness gracious, I got to show you the copper. Now, we talked about this yesterday. Okay. We started alerts to be short copper. We back up at 268, just down to this little spot right here. You know, I should give you the 50-cent tour of this. Hang on. Let me open it up. There we go. You'll see the magnitude of it here in a minute. Okay. So the alert, the original alert here on the copper said to consider selling 268.35. See? With a humble target. Very doable, very reasonable. 2.6735. That's a 1 penny move. A 1 penny move is equivalent to $250 per contract. Okay. However, we have this thing on an extended move. And well, what's an extended move? That's when price rips right through your target. Don't get out. What? It's the target. I'm supposed to get out at the target. Well, yeah, unless the market hasn't given you a reason. See, when this alert comes out to you in the channel, we don't know what's going to happen next. So I didn't know this was going to happen. Well, how humble of him to say that. No, it's the truth. Neither does anybody else. The guy they have on TV today is the guy who guessed the right thing yesterday. That's all. He didn't know. In his mind, it might have been high probability, but ask him how many times he's been wrong. Well, they don't ask that question because it's not good for ratings. Now, until the step line crosses over and price starts to walk sideways and you get a green close above that step line, why would you get out of a perfectly good, ever increasingly profitable trade? You wouldn't. Okay. Then, if that weren't enough, oh, I erased the other stuff. Anyway, as I showed you yesterday, we caught this move and then this move. And so I was really kind of surprised at this one. You've probably heard me say the reason there are a lot of no triggers in the channel is because there are situations where I really don't think it's going to trigger. But if it does, it's going to surprise a lot of people, which means if you're the one person fishing off that side of the boat, that's kind of not that's a little bit of a weak analogy, but I hope you get it. So last night, where'd it go? Or this actually might have been the first one, 268. Oh yeah, this is way back up. This is the first one way back up at 268. Okay, I keep scrolling. Then the ES 25.8 to 25.10 tip. Yeah, here's that first copper trade right there. Boom. Okay. Now, how can a person be so clever as to stay in this thing till there? Now, you can't get out at the swing low because you don't know it's the swing low till after the fact. But our exit signal will often get you out in the neighborhood of the swing low or swing high on an extended move. Okay. We keep going. Oh, this is a good object lesson. Always remember the indices are best of breed indexes. Over time, this is what happens. Markets move high. The indices move higher. They're best of breed. They're bred, they're programmed to go higher. When one of the members, whether it's a Dow 30 or an S&P 500 or a Russell 2000 company, if they get weak, they're going to get kicked to the curb, and a strong bull is going to be brought in to replace them. Yes, there will be dips. There will be perilous sell-offs and rallies. Oh, maybe we're never going to put in another new high. Fire some people, bring in some new companies, and the bull continues. I was there in 2007, 2008. Unlike a lot of the money managers on Wall Street who were still in high school. Oh, by the way, they're managing your money. Just saying. By the ES, 2530 up to 2540, that never triggered. Same on the Dow. These were hedges above the market, just in case. Okay. So whereas this final copper did trigger when I didn't think it would, these, it's just a hedge, just in case. Oh, here's the next copper, 264 to 263. Now that's $250 per contract, but it actually fell to 259 and change. Now the exit signal did print here, which would be 261.90, which got you out almost right at the target. So does that happen? Sometimes, yeah, it does. But that's okay. It rarely will get you out at a worse price than the target or final target. You shouldn't let it get you out at a worse price. Because if you're going to let it run until it gives you the signal, once it gets away from that final target, you need to grab your stop loss or your secondary target, as we call it sometimes. You need to drag that down to the target or final target. So worst case, you could have had all this. Worst case is you got what you thought you were going to get in the beginning. Okay. But wait, there's more. Silver, 1562 to 1568. It would be wrong not to look at silver right now. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, that's copper. Don't want to do that. Let's do this. Okay. GSIH. Okay, try that again. GSIH. Huh. So, what did that say again? 1562 to 1568. And when I recapped it, it was at 1568 so far. So from 62, that puts us back here. These are 30-minute candles. I'm sure you're noticing bullish cross, price pulls away, price pulls back to physically touch, up close by the open of the next candle, plus one tick. So the swing high of this move, 1581 so far. Okay. Now, in the grand scheme of things, what does that really mean? Check this out. And I'm going to go at GSI for the continuous contract. And scrunch. Okay, now this only takes us back to March of this year, right? Let's go weekly. What? This is the beginning of a bull market in metals. We're just getting going. Look at this double bottom we're coming off of right here. Look at that. When William Duvall or Robert Duvall gets on TV and starts pitching you silver, you might want to listen. I don't know. We're just starting to get the bullish cross. Oh, which brings up another chart I need to, this is incredibly bullish. Now, do we have some work to do? Yes, we do. I'll leave it at that. Now, before I forget, I want to show you this. This is a rare occurrence, okay? I can't tell you the last time this happened. Okay? The CFMA1 on a monthly chart is red and hooked down. Yes? Yes. What happened the last time it was red and hooked down? It went to the BBC, up close, by the beginning of the next month, right? Okay. But what's different about this and this? I'll tell you what's different. This, the slingshot. You see, here, when we were red and falling, we were red and, yeah, maybe starting to fall, but we were above the 50-yard line, okay? We were above the, this horizontal line, that's the 50-yard line, that's what I call it. Now, come over here. Now, and look at how far this, you see, look at that. How many months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. 8 months with the CFMA1 red and falling. Slingshot never got below the 50-yard line. Now we're just 1 month and how many days? 1 month and 3 days. Look at that. But look at this. If this continues, we will drop below the 50-yard line. And if we drop below the 50-yard line on a monthly chart, we've been talking about this for some time. By the way, there hasn't been a bearish cross on the monthly chart of the ES since 2013. Let that sink in. Yeah? Okay. So from here to here, what are we looking at? We already know, talked about this so many times, that 50%, we're going to get a good bounce. We had this right here, support area. It was resistance on the way up, support on the way down, at the 50. So we were just so confident we would get a bounce. But as we said, we can't promise any more than a bounce because we don't know what's going to happen next. Now, this gives us a high probability idea. Now, it hasn't crossed yet. Yeah, wait a month. You see what I'm saying? If we were to close anywhere near the lows of last month, we're going to cross that 50. You're going to have red and falling below the 50, and the cycle is going to be pegged. It's going to be flatlining the bottom. This is going to be flatlining the bottom. Not trying to scare you, not trying to tell you to sell the market and go away, come back a wealthy person. I'm not saying that. It hasn't happened yet. But please understand, look, I'm going to scroll back as far as it'll let me scroll back. And I don't have as much data on this platform as I want. But now that's life. See, I can only go back. This is as far as I can go back. January of 2013. Or yeah, November 2013. All right, that's as far back as I can go. I'll get on another platform and we'll hunt it down. But this is ominous, okay? So I'm just pointing it out because it's ominous. Nothing more than that. It hasn't happened yet. Now, someone I know says that the market tries to cause the greatest amount of people the greatest amount of pain. Really? Is it like the Chucky movie? Is that what the market is? See, I don't buy into that. But that's fodder for another show. Okay. This ES approaching reverse 62% reverse fib from last night's Globex Open. swing high to the London Open. It was very interesting. Okay, this was the Globex Open Sunday night. London opens, turns it around. Now, you've heard me say a lot of times that Wall Street used to be the engine that drove world commerce. This is London going to work. Now, what happened when Wall Street showed back up to work? Wait for it. No, I guess I don't have that chart up. Well, there you go. That's what happened when Wall Street showed back up to work. Okay, there's a S&P, and this is all since Sunday night, and we had a holiday this week. That's a lot of thumbs up. Yesterday afternoon, at the bell in 5 minutes, if short, evaluate your position and take into consideration increased margins if you hold it open. Tech sell-off on Apple Q1 guidance appears overdone. I believe in the absence of a new product, they're engineering a surprise on the upside when they report. 3 people just said today's session would be horrific. I don't think today's session it's a down day. It's not a good day for investors. Great day for traders. Apple's already down 40% over the last year. When an analyst downgrades, it is quite often the bottom or near bottom. When they all flip at once, wait for it, bounce. Now, did Asia weigh in? Did Europe weigh in? Yeah, that'd be this little rally here. A leg, a retracement, and a leg. Right up to the zone. Thank you, Europe and Asia. We appreciate your patronage. All right. I'm almost done here, so don't get nervous. Gonna let you all go home to your ham dinner, as the preacher says, in a minute. If I can ever get my platform back. I don't think I can. Hang on. I lost my... Okay, let's try it again. What? That's not right. My deal ran off the screen. There must be a way to do this. We may end there. I closed it. Wow. Can you right click the icon on the taskbar? Close window. Okay. Reopen window. In the right place, please. Oh, I did it again. It's off the side of the... I got it. There we go. It's not working. There we go. Okay. All right, so that was a short on the ES and the Dow, and those that happened after. Keep in mind, we had a gap lower open on the indices. Gaps on indices almost always close. Gaps to the downside have closed 100% of the time since the inception of the markets, with the exception of the one last night. But I was pretty confident it would. So we threw these out. Gap fill, gap fill. Not a gap fill. That was the next short on copper. And then the euro, that was a PT. Didn't quite get all the way to the target, but it was 60% or better. 13. Oh, this was the ES gap on close, or gap close. 87 up to 90, trail if possible. And it ran up to what? Now, why would I pick 90? Well, where did this candle close? At 90. So for the gap to fill, price got to go at least to 90. And I've got a cushion because I know our zone's at 94, right? Sailed right up to 94. Ping. and dropped like a rock to last week's weekly trading zone. See how important the zones can be, or how beneficial they can be? Oh, did I drag it off screen again? Oh, here it is. There we go. Okay, what else? Okay, after the gap fill, then today we had a, this is today, by the ES 86 to 88 to 90. And as you can see where that circle is, down. I haven't recapped these yet. I'll have to check and see if they've done the deal. So anyway, that's what's happened with Logic 247 since the Globex opened Sunday night. All those alerts, all those results, live in real time. You feel it, right? Here comes the pitch. He's getting ready to pitch us. Here's the deal. I was going to do a Logic 247 trial. It's been weeks since we've done one. Quite a few. I'll tell you why I don't do them more often. Well, there's a lot of reasons. Well, mostly one, because it's very cumbersome copying things into two different channels. There's no way to automate it. If I put an alert out in the live channel, then I got to carbon copy it, which sounds very simple, but it takes a little time. And I got to remember not to forget, because if you forget one, you can't go back and insert in the middle. That's why. So we're going to do a 2-day trial of Logic 247. I wanted to start it last night and have it go today and tomorrow, but I still had a few things to do. So you're the first to hear about it. I can only handle so many people at a time. If you want to participate in the Logic 247 live alert trial next week, Monday and Tuesday, you know what? Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday. How about that? Okay? Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday. If you want to participate in that, send an email to support@cfrn.net. In the subject line, only put these words: alert trial, please. We're very polite here. Alert trial, please. That's all you got to do. Send an email to support@cfrn.net. In the subject line, what are you going to put? That's right. Alert trial, please. Valerie will send you off some information that will make sure you have your Telegram all set up and ready to go. In fact, as soon as you sign up, you're going to get access to the trial channel. You'll be able to see all the results from this week so far, okay? But you won't start getting live alerts in that channel until Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Globex Open. Support@cfrn.net. Be polite and say, alert trial, please. And then just sit back and wait for Valerie to send you an email welcoming you. There'll be flowers and candy. No, not really. Just soap. Get your Telegram set up. Be ready for Sunday night. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell any security. Make sure you read the CFRN disclaimer and the CFTC required disclosures at cfrn.net. It's very important. Okay? All right. We're going to head off to our good word for the day. It is a 3-day trial, really. Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday. So it'll be the Monday session, but the whole session beginning Sunday night, and the Tuesday session. Now remember, this is a 24/7. Get your rest, because Logic 247 is 24/7, right? So you may get a little tired. Get you some Vivarine if you don't do coffee. You know, mainline some Starbucks, whatever it takes. But we're going to have a great time, a marathon, if you will, from Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern till Tuesday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, good word for the day. I'll stick to my word. Oh, who's calling me now? It doesn't matter. I'm going to shut it down just for you. Have you noticed that when I'm on with you, I don't take calls? My wife says she wished I would treat her like that. But boom. Not funny, right? I know. Shame on me. All right. Y'all ready for this? Of course you are. So, we always hear about disciples, and we read about the disciples, or the apostles as they were called. And I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but when Jesus left, he was getting ready to leave. He was packing up. He said, hey, by the way, I want you to go out and make sure people recite this incantation so that they can be saved. That's not the Great Commission. Don't tell the folks. Well, I'm not going to say that. That's not the Great Commission. He did not say, go make sure everybody you can come across, even the natives in the deepest, darkest jungle, are saved. He didn't say that. He said, go and make disciples of men. He told the disciples, go make disciples of men. Huge difference. I can't tell you how many times I preached a sermon, gave the altar call, and here they come, and everybody said, oh, forgive me of my sins. Yes, I want to be in heaven with you forever. Right? You know the incantation. It's not in the Bible, by the way. It says you must be born again, not recite an incantation. Being born again is a condition of the heart, not the mind or the lips. Dear Lord, these lying lips. Right? Am I right? So when's the last time you made a disciple? Now, I know a lot of you have led people to Christ, and that's a great thing, but that's not the end job. That's just the beginning. That's the opening gambit. If they accept Christ as their personal Savior, okay, you got your foot in the door. Now the Great Commission falls on your shoulders to disciple them, to help them struggle through this thing called life and become men and women of God. Luke 9:23 says, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. In AD 44, King Herod Agrippa ordered James the Greater, not James the Great, but James the Greater, to be killed with a sword. He was the first of the apostles to be martyred. Reportedly, Luke was hanged from an olive tree in Greece. Doubting Thomas was burned in India. Philip was crucified and preached from the cross with his dying breath. Matthew was stabbed in the back in Ethiopia. Bartholomew was flogged to death in Armenia. James the Just was thrown off the southeast pinnacle of the temple in Jerusalem. And then, on top of that, if that wasn't enough, clubbed to death by a mob. Simon the Zealot was crucified by the governor of Syria in AD 74. He should have pulled out. Judas Thaddeus was beaten to death with sticks in Mesopotamia. Matthias, who replaced Judas Iscariot, was stoned and beheaded. Peter was crucified upside down at his own request because he wasn't worthy to be crucified in the same manner as his Savior. When John the Beloved survived being put in a cauldron of boiling water, the Emperor Diocletian exiled him to the island of Patmos. He's the only one that died a natural death. Now, since you live in America, most of you, we have an audience around the world. So this is not true for everyone, but those of you here in the U.S., you probably won't be called to die physically for Christ. But to be his disciple, you must die to yourself. Huh? Jesus said, if anyone wants to follow me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will save it. Luke 9:23 and 24. See, before you can make disciples of men, you got to become a disciple. before you can fulfill the Great Commission and become a discipler of men, you got to become a disciple. You got to deny yourself, take up your cross daily. What's your cross? We know about Jesus' cross. Very vivid in our minds. What's your cross? What's holding you back? What are you hanging on? If you want to find yourself, if you want the answer to that question, you must be willing to lose yourself in the cause of Christ. If you want to come alive in the fullest sense, you must be willing to die to all forms of self-centeredness and live for Christ. That's our good word for the day. Now go make ye disciples of men. Thanks for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.